Hi, I'm Jocelyn. Welcome to Fast Easy Vegan. Today we're working, as always, well, almost always, out of my book, Fast Easy Vegan, which you can find on Amazon. On page 141, peanut and greens soup. It's wicked cold outside, so this is really going to hit the spot. It's originally a West African recipe, so it's got peanuts and spice in it. And if you can't tolerate heat, no worries, leave it out. It's still going to be delicious, really flavorful. And the other thing that's a little bit different is instead of using peanut butter, we're using defatted peanut butter powder. The reason being, I feel fat, so I'm not eating anything fattening. Peanut butter normally has about 200 calories per 2 tablespoons. This has 70 calories per 2 tablespoons. So you can get all the flavor, all the nutrition of peanut butter without all the fat. I like it. All right, let's get going. So we're going to start with 1 onion. Well, I pulled out my last brown onion and it was icky, so we're going to use a red onion. It calls for 4 cloves of garlic, but these are monster cloves, and half a bunch or so of celery, half a red pepper, and I'm using this whole one from my garden because it's pretty inky dinky. A couple of jalapenos, or to taste. I like the red one, also pulled these off my bush. 2 cans of diced tomatoes. I only have the one, so that's what we're using. A quart of veg broth, a quart of water, a bunch of collards or kale, whichever you preferred. Could be mustard greens too. And a teaspoon of chipotle powder, a third of a cup of peanut butter, and salt if you need it to taste. So let's get rolling on the slicing and the dicing. Red onions are really peel really different from brown onions because sometimes they're really thick on one side and really thin on another, the layers. So you just deal with what you have. This is kind of fussy. All right then. Almost done. Tedious, not like I said, it's different from brown onions, not quite so fast. You know what? I'm going to get a little bowl here to put my garbage in. Okay, that's better. You don't have to mince the onion. It can just be diced. Nothing fancy. I'm going to turn the heat on because we're going to be cooking those in a minute. Whoa. Slippery. You definitely want to work with a sharp knife. Dull knives slip and bite. Okay, that takes care of the onion. And I've said this probably a million times before, but I generally really like to start the onions and the garlic with a little saute to soften them. It just enhances their flavor. These cloves of garlic might look a little odd. I have a big bag of frozen peeled garlic. which honestly I don't like as well as fresh garlic. I don't think the flavor is as strong with these, but wow, it sure saves time. So everything's got a payoff and a trade-off, right? All right. I'm gonna squirt a little bit of water in there, in that pan. Slice up your celery kind of thin. It's not a stew, so you don't want big chunks of anything. Almost there. Right, we're going to put the celery in there while we're at it. And the liquid is, as I mentioned, a quart of veg broth, and also, I can't remember if I said, also a quart of water. So you've got 8 cups of liquid. Give that a turn. Let's let that cook a little bit more. Okay. Just pull the stem off, and you can just pull the membranes out with your hands. And we want to dice this not too finely, so that when we get a piece, we can actually taste it. Oh, I hear those onions popping in there. I think it's time to add our broth. All right. And our water. And let's bring that to a boil while we continue to chop our food. Okay. There I go, throwing things on the floor. That's me. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you my greens trick once again, because I always do this. I like to roll them up the long way, like a cigar, nice and tight. And obviously once you've taken the stems off, and I just strip the leaves right off the stem. It's just easy peasy. And cut down through, because we don't want long strings. And then let's just slice this little bundle. These are collards. You can use any green you want. Kale, mustard greens, whatever. Anything green in there. I grow these. I have a big collard bush in my garden. Ooh, I love collards. They are my favorite green. we have a really nice flavor. Okay. Great. Boy, we're making headway, aren't we? All right. Now the jalapenos, I'm going to dice up tiny, but first I'm going to put the diced tomatoes in there. And like I said, the recipe calls for 2 cans, but I didn't have 2 cans, so that's it. Cut your jalapenos in half. Then get a spoon, a little teaspoon, and dig out the membranes and the seeds, because that's where the bulk of the heat is. And sometimes I leave it in, depending, but we've got more heat going in. So I'm going to do it this way today. Depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Also, the thing about spice, heat, the more you eat it, the more you acclimate. And then you stop eating it and your palate adjusts down so that when you eat it again, wow. What used to be kind of middling, all of a sudden turns into flame throwing. So, woo. Good, these are nice and hot. And these we definitely want to mince. Also, jalapenos, serranos, I don't really work with habaneros. They're a little bit too much for me. But these guys also lose some of their punch when they're cooked, which is why I like to put in extra, because I like spice. Okay, slicing and dicing is done. What's next? 1/3 cup of peanut butter. I'm going to make it a very scant 1/3 cup. Just for the flavor. And a teaspoon of chipotle powder. Or to taste. This is just a guide. Spice is always just a guide. So I basically cook for me, and you guys can take it up or down depending on how you like it. And a little bit of salt. And then we're going to stir it up and see what it looks like. The peanut butter, you don't have to worry about it clumping like flour, because it doesn't do that. And we're just going to let this simmer until those greens are done. And greens take a while. Collard greens take a while to cook and sort of soften, and that's how you want them. You get more nutrition out of them that way, believe it or not. When I was a kid, I went raw food for about 8 months, and I thought that was like the perfect way to eat, just fruits and vegetables and whatever grains you could soften. And then I got sick and I gave it up. I got this horrible cold, which is probably a great cleanse, but there it is. And since then, I've learned that many vegetables are more nutritious cooked than raw. Carrots are the one that come to mind immediately. Anyway, enough of my babble. I'll see you when we're ready to dish up. It's been 15 minutes. Looking good. Let's dish up. Let us dish up. Look at this yummy, interesting, different soup. Perfect on a cold day. Intense nutrition and flavor. There you have it. Bon appetit. See you next time. Bye.